were trying out a car with the joystick, and part of their part of their rationale was the problem with the steering wheel is it's in the way. If we didn't have a steering wheel, we could lay out the instrument cluster to be far more driver friendly, so you have all of the dials and everything you need in front of you, and you don't have to compromise with the rim of the steering wheel and the struts on the steering wheel. And the second problem they'd identified was an airbag in a steering wheel is small, and if we didn't have the steering wheel, we could put a standard size airbag like what the passenger has the benefit of. So maybe we should figure out some other way of at least controlling the steering of the car. So, being originally an aviation company, they figured, well, maybe we could try joysticks. And so they just set up standard Saab car, took out the steering wheel, put in a joystick, redesigned the dash so that the instruments were far better placed and far more easily read, and set a test driver out on it. And it was met with a certain amount of success. The concept worked. The problem was the feedback from the driver was, I can't feel the road. When you're driving on the road, you get a lot of feedback through the steering wheel. And he said because it's literally drive-by-wire, there is no feedback that he's used to. So he can't judge the traction he's got, the roughness of the road feeding through that front, through the front wheels. And he said, basically the guy said, that's the problem with driving with a joystick. And he's, he was perfectly fine. So I could probably get used to this, but right now it feels strange. And the other thing the engineers realised is that everybody drives every single vehicle on the road with a steering wheel, and asking them to change to a joystick steering, that's a huge ask, because there is that learning curve, you having to relearn, because it is completely different. And so they kind of canned it, but the Top Gear guys did say that while it might not work today because everyone's got used to, everybody's been driving for the last 50 years with steering wheels or 80 years with steering wheels, so they're used to it, and switching over would be difficult. The kids of today are playing computer games and they do everything with a joystick, including Formula One racing and all the rest of it. So maybe in 10 years time, when the current sort of computer gaming generation grow up, we could consider it again, because they have got used to driving with a joystick. Obviously that never came to much of anything, because computer manufacturers started, or hardware manufacturers started considering, well, look, everybody drives cars today with steering wheels, so maybe it's more natural, and maybe we should make steering wheels for computers so that we can have driving games that feel a little bit more natural. So we'll never be driving with a joystick unless we get flying cars, because that just makes sense. But that was kind of interesting. So there you go. So how are we getting on with this? It's only 9 o'clock and there's still a fair amount of sunflowers over there. Kind of getting to the point in the field where I really shouldn't be going up and down. Should probably start going across, because this east-west direction is shorter than the north-south. Maybe we'll switch to that on the next turn. Of course, my plan here was to actually go and empty the trailers as I filled them and have a worker doing this thing. But, I guess both trailers are pretty much almost full, so we'll run them in convoy down to the farm. Ugh. Yeah, that was the thing on Elite Dangerous, was getting anywhere. The same was true with Eve. I mean, with Eve you could set up a navigation course and it would just do successive jumps for you, but and then you just leave it on automatic. But if you jump through a gate and there's pirates waiting on the other side of it, you're kind of dead. And you also jump out, or you stop what in Elite is slipstreaming to a gate way short of it, and so you kind of needed to stay on manual control if you don't want to come back and find yourself dead. But that, and I mean, it's a thing for all MMOs, is, you know, it's the time sinks, and travel is a time sink, a common time sink. You play something like EverQuest, and you know, even if it's go off and get me 20 rabbit skins, you have to travel 10 minutes to get to where the rabbits live so that you can grab their skins. And sometimes the rabbits are dragons and whatever, but you know, the concept of the quest is the same every single time. It's sort of go and get me 20 walrus teeth, or go and get me 10 bear claws, but you have to travel out of the quest giver's area to go and do it. And so with things like Elite, it can be incredibly difficult to set up to play with a group of people, because you kind of have to say, okay, next week we're going to meet at Antares, so you've got all week to get there, type of thing. And yeah, I did as well. I mean, like I said, I explored an entire or a significant part of a nebula when I started playing in my old Asp Explorer, and I explored everything. And it gets to the point where it's sort of, I've investigated, or I've analysed so much stuff. If I get killed now, or crash into a star, or screw up, I'm going to lose all that. And so it's sort of, now I've got to travel 400 light years back in order to sell all the information. And I got back, and it's sort of, yeah, I've got loads of money now. I can buy anything I want. But yeah, it's, I mean, if you're an explorer, the travel is great. But if you're playing with friends, it can be a bit of an impediment, because it does take so long to get from one place to another. Yeah, that was, the Asp was my ship of choice. And I think I pretty much played all the way up until what was the expansion where you could land on planets? That had just come out. I probably gave it about 2 or 3 months past that, and then kind of stopped playing and started playing other games. Probably about the time I got into World of Warships, because the problem I found, I've played what was it, Mech Warrior Online, and I've played World of Tanks and Armored Warfare, and the problem with those games is you have to play them a lot to get good. And I quickly figured I don't have time to play all of them to get good. So I kind of invested a lot of time in World of Warships, not so much in World of Tanks. So World of Warships is my chosen, what is it? Platoon-based combat game. And people might say, "Hey, come and play War Thunder, come and play World of Warships or World of Tanks," and it's kind of no, because I'm going to suck at it. I mean, I'm not brilliant at World of Warships, but I do have fun, and I'm not completely bad. This could be a full load. Thinking it might be 30,000. What's in the ding? Okay, we're full. I should probably go back to there and turn the engine off. Horizons, yes. So I know about the engineers, but I never actually did anything with them. Okay, let's see if I can get both tractors back to the yard. Okay, that seems to be working. That's good. Now, the nice thing about these last two fields is they're all sunflowers, so we don't have to do a full, I've got to empty before I start the next field kind of thing. So well, then you're doing it wrong. If you're exploring, you need to be where there's no pirates. Then the only reason you die when you're exploring is because you screwed up in navigation. Oh, right, yep. Yeah, you still get jumped by pirates, though. Again, this hill, I think all the tractors will have struggles on that hill, so I'm not too worried about that. So what I will do is we'll unload this. Yeah. forward so we can unload the Challenger. Then we will switch things around a little. So you're done. Keep pulling, keep pulling. And that should be good. Oh. So we need to turn off the helper, unload the sunflowers, yay. And at this point I can probably take this down to the back of the yard and turn around. I will park that there. Oh, I don't think there's enough room. There might be. Yay. Oh, and that's the piece of equipment I'm looking for. Thought it was down the bottom, but obviously not. So I'll hitch that to there. We don't have a lot of seed in this, but we're not going to use much. At least I don't expect to. So I'll turn that off and turn this guy around. Oops. Oh no, I remember why we've got 170,000. I sold the planter that we had because I'm kind of not particularly thrilled by the capacity. It really doesn't work too well for this size of farm and field. It's got the working width, it just doesn't have the seed and fertilizer tank capacity. So I'm going to switch it out for something with a similar working width but larger seed tanks. Hopefully that will work out for us better. But I sold the old one, which is why we have a fair amount of spare cash at the moment. Okay, he's on the Bailey. I think what we'll do here is I'll run this guy down to the end and come back. Because I'm only going to return to that field we're harvesting with the Challenger. I'll take the Fent down to the other sunflower field. So first things first, you follow him. Maybe 30-meter distance. You follow him. And you go drive. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping fully loaded this tractor can still make it up this hill with the trailer. As we've seen, even our big tractors have problems with these hills, so it's not overly concerning that we struggle with a smaller tractor. And this is the smaller cart, so we're good, I hope. Yeah. Yes, if you do missions for cargo or cargo missions, then that does generally get you noticed by the bad guys or the competition. Okay, and I will be removing these gates when we start relocating the sheep, because this will cease to be an arable field. I'll put grass over here so I've got somewhere else I can cut. At least I think I'm going to put grass over here. Okay, you're good there. Turn the engine back on, let's zoom in a bit. So the rest of the convoy is going off to the other field. Oops. Squeak. And that might be a problem for the class. I think it was. Yep. Back up a bit. Oops. Turn these beacons off, and now we've got an interloper in the middle. Ooh. So this will be fun. Let's take a look to the back. I need to run a little bit slow so the car doesn't hold up the class too much. I also need to make sure I'm looking where I'm going as well. Yeah, I think last time I was doing something, I had an engineer that wanted a special cargo. And oh, that was such a pain in the butt. Let's pull onto the field and stop. Okay. I'll turn the helper off and I'll pull forward a bit. Okay, how does that look? There's enough room there. So I can turn that off and we'll go back up and join the harvester, because I really don't think we've got 30,000 litres of stuff left to pull off this field. Yeah, we should be able to do 32 miles an hour in this tractor, or we're only making 24. Could probably turn the lights off on the harvester though. And that way, there we go. Alrighty. Get this show back on the road. I think maybe I'll drive straight across here and we'll square off the field a bit. But yeah, I've really not been playing that much in the way of new or old computer games. I guess I'm getting old. I sit in this chair all day for work. Oh, basement stairs are nearly finished though. That's a good thing. He's finished doing all the drywall and the walls are painted, and he's now waiting for the doors and the railings to be delivered so that they can be installed. I think the insulation guys are coming 1st of March, so that's 2-3 weeks off. 1, 2, yeah, beginning of the 3rd week. But at the moment, everything in the basement is piled in the middle, so they can get to insulate all the walls, and then we'll be able to start setting up sort of communal areas and stuff. And then potentially, if dancing is not in person, dancing can be in the basement, because there's ample space down there and no fish tanks that can get hit. And we can migrate possibly more into the spring towards summer. Kids can play down there, where we don't mind them scratching the floors because it's concrete and not brand new wood floors. On the fish tank front, that's doing quite well. The fish are growing. I don't think we've lost any yet. I bought a few more plants this week with more height. So our little catfish are venturing out into the heights of the fish tank. Normally they sit at the bottom, but they're sort of, oh, there's plants up there, let's go have a look at them. You could probably do roller skating in there for right now. But also, come springtime, I'm planning to start model railroading again. So that's going to involve me being down there, cutting wood and screwing wood together and laying tracks and electrics and all the rest of the fun stuff that entails. I was watching one of the British guys on YouTube, and he was joking. He uses DCC control, which is kind of a computerized control system, and it was sold, when it was originally envisaged, it was sold as well, you only need 2 wires to run everything. And not so much. I remember my old grandfather's layout, and he had, it covered, he knocked his garage down and built a double length garage so he could have the trains in the back, and so it went round the entire back half of the garage. But all of the sidings had isolated sections, so he had this huge switchboard that, if you wanted a train to come out of a siding, you had to turn that siding on, set the switch, set the line out of the yard, power to that, and it was quite a complicated thing to run, and you know, two power leads came out of the controller and went into this switch box, and then from there it was just spaghetti underneath the layout. So that was the thing. I specialise in British 1930s Great Western, so I do not have diesel locomotives. They're all steam.